Hey everybody, Thomas here, and I'm out actually here with Mr. Robert, and we've got Evelyn, and we've got Shasta. But today's video is actually about making rolling pins, and in fact, recently I did a competition on the video. It was the Big Ash Adventure to Missouri. We did a competition for guessing the age of the ash tree. Well, Mr. Snyder, he actually guessed within 1 year. I'm going to call that as a win. So within 1 year, he guessed 137. And from my eye, counting it up twice, I came up with 136. So that's a pretty old ash tree. So what we're actually doing is we are taking, this is funny, this right here is flooring. This is offcuts of flooring that I got at dirt cheap here recently. Now I bought 15 bundles of this stuff, which is about 300 square feet or 300 board foot if you count these as 1 inch thick and everything. Long story short, these are rejects. Now this is beautiful. Look at that spalt there. This is maple. This is all unfinished maple flooring, and it may have had, you know, something caused it to be thrown away. In this case, it's probably a spalt. There's a few that have checks. There's a few that have knots, whatever that may be. That being said, this is perfect stock for crafters. We actually, with those, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pieces that I gave some to Mr. Robert, I'm giving some to my dad, and I'm keeping some. We're gonna make spoons out of this stuff, make rolling pins, all sorts of stuff. So I'm trying to think what I paid. It was around 250 bucks or something to that effect for 300 square feet of this stuff. And every one of these pieces, a minimum of, well, if we make spoons and everything else, a minimum of close to, I'd say $15 for every single piece. So not too bad. We're gonna make spoons, rolling pins, spatulas, all sorts of stuff. So stay tuned. Right now, we've gone ahead and planed these down, so we've got a smooth surface on both sides. It still does have the tongue and groove on it, but we're gonna go onto the chop saw right here. Let me get up to the camera. I'm going with the chop saw here and cut these the correct length, and then get them into a clamp with some glue and everything, hold them together with Titebond 3. And go from there. So this is gonna be like a 2-day process to make a rolling pin, and we'll be back out here tomorrow after the glue's set up and everything and dried, and get to turning on this. So stay tuned, more to follow. You're good. You're live action. Mr. Robert. So there's our first cut. Now these are roughly 21 inches long. That's typically the length of the rolling pin that Mr. Robert likes to do. Beautiful, beautiful boards. So we had to cut the one side. Now we're going to cut the following side to take the tongue portion off and the groove. And you really want a good surface between these two. That's why we plane them down, or all these 4 pieces, excuse me. You plane them down, and then you use that glue between it, and we're gonna put a ton of C-clamps on there. And in the background, he's got one of my blades being sharpened up too, which I've actually got to show what he does. I don't know if he has any hanging up. He's got a couple hanging up here. So, yep, got the light right here. All right, so this is where he puts his blades. One of his older horse stalls here and everything. And a chicken. But actually there's quite a few chickens in there. What he takes, these are offcuts of hickory. These were actually the rejects from a drumstick factory. Like literally they made drumsticks out of hickory, and really cool the way he said that they did this. They had a die set, and then they would push the log through, and essentially it's like you're extruding hickory. But each of these ones, like this one right here, there's a small check right there, or that one has split. For whatever reason, these were reject pieces, but these are hickory. I mean, I actually the other day had someone come over and I tried to break one of these by hitting a sharp corner of metal, and I could not do so. All I kept on doing is sending reverb down my hand. It really hurt. But he uses these to hang up all the sawmill blades in his shop here, and he's got all these sawmill blades for different customers, and he's awesome because he actually puts little tags on there with names and everything. He zip ties every single one of them, and I know I've had a few people who follow the channel want to get his information, so I'm going to put his website, or I'll put his email on there. So if you want to get your blade sharpened by Mr. Robert, he does a phenomenal job. He's down here in Mississippi, and I mean, literally there's no one better that I know of when it comes to sharpening blades. And I'll show you a little setup that he has here again. And we're gonna reshoot another video of this whole setup in action, everything. But beforehand, he cleans his blades with this fancy Whamadine thing right here that he concocted. Actually does a great job at removing. There we go. So that's turned on, but that does a great job at removing material off the blade. Whether you have a whole lot of sap, rust, whatever, he can rejuvenate a blade that really should have been thrown away. And then we'll go over the setter, because he's actually learned some more tricks on his setter. So he's going to go through that. And of course the sharpener. And again, he uses the Cook's cat claw sharpener setter, and just phenomenal job. In fact, I sharpen my own blades when I have to, when I'm up in Tennessee, but really down here, Mr. Robert does it all for me, because, you know, he is the master. All right, so let's get back to gluing up these rolling pin pieces. All right, so we're back here with Mr. Robert, and we're actually determining which pieces we're gonna have to the outside. And we really wanna keep the spalted piece here as kind of like a show piece. And I was just saying, well, what are we about putting it on to the second board in? And if we do that, then you only see the end grain. So
that's gonna be number one.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be number two.
Okay. Yeah.
That'd be number three, because we've got some checks in it right there.
Yep.
We're gonna use that.
Okay.
And this number four, and I chose this because we got some pretty stuff out here.
Okay. Yeah, so Mr. Snyder, I think you're really going to enjoy this, because you get the real master working on this.
Don't put it on too thick, Tom.
So he's using Type Bond 3 glue, because Type Bond 3 glue is waterproof, not water resistant. This will hold up. And Mr. Robert is really concerned about how much glue he uses. So he's pretty light on the gluing.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing light about his gluing technique. It's he puts it on thick.
Well, I can tell you about the glue. Can't have too much glue. Glue's cheap, and I like to see that glue squash out everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Because as you're turning this, if you had sections that did not have glue in there, you'd have little pockets, and that'd be area for bacteria and, you know, dough or whatever you're using a rolling pin for. So you want to make sure you have a good solid seal. And also, he don't play around. He's going to use some C-clamps. Now, he goes around to yard sales, and all these, pretty much all these say made in the USA. These are properly well-made material. So this is old school. It says 404, so that's the type of steel. And it looks like it says Briggs Weaver. So that's one of the clamps. Now here's what a modern day clamp. When Mr. Robert puts a hurting on one. This is an Irwin. This is supposed to be a good clamp, but it's all cockeyed.
It ain't worth a doo-doo.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, this is probably no longer made in the USA. But these old school ones, you can find these at yard sales, at estate auctions, all sorts of things. You know, I don't want to hurt our chances of getting one, but you can find some really good older tools that are made to last at some of these places. So again, he's applying this with a little brush and everything. Very, very thick application of glue, which is good, because this Type Bond, and I don't know if you've had any experience with glue like we have, but pretty much it'll break anywhere except for the glue. It might break on a crack somewhere, but it will not break where that glue is.
I've used all kinds of glue, and I like this the best. I use Type Bond 2 and Type Bond 3.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere where my product's going to be in water, in the sink, or something like that, I always use Type Bond 3. I use a glue like this. My sister had a boyfriend one time. I'll tell you this little story, and I kind of adopted my glue theory according to his pants for a woman. My sister, now look, we're talking 50 years ago. So this guy was he was in the Air Force over at Keesler Field, but he was from California. I ought to tell you something right there. And Anyway, I lived in California a while, so I'm qualified to talk about Californians. So anyway, that was back when these ski pants was popular. Had that little loop go under your foot. So he wanted to buy a pair for my sister for her birthday, Christmas, or something. I forget what the occasion was. But he goes to the store and the woman says, well, what size does she wear? He said, well, she wears a 7. A 6 looks good. Give me a 5. So, so he he wanted them tight. But anyway, that's the way I do my glue. I use a little more glue than's necessary, but I don't have to worry about whether it's glued or not.
It will not fail at the glue.
I used to work with a man hanging cabinets, and if I'd used this much glue on the entire set of cabinets, he'd have had a fit.
Yep. His cabinets ever fall apart?
I don't know.
So rough dimensions on this. Let's not do rough. Let's do actual. So like 3 1/4 inches.
Maybe just to the top of that.
Okay, then just actually, excuse me, that'll be just under 3 1/2 inches.
So how wide are we?
How wide?
About
About
3.
3. Okay, so we'll have to take off. It'll be all right.
That's all right.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Right
This
off.
should be pretty well balanced. And length overall, about 19 1/2.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a pretty good size. And then let the clamping begin.
Just a minute, I'll shove it over to the side.
Okay.
If you're not careful right here, whenever you
Yes.
squeeze this, it'll walk on you. Okay, let's slide it over there, Thomas. Put it right out close to the end. But whenever just before you get it tight, kind of wiggle it a little bit and make sure that both jaws are seated. Okay, that's good.
Put it hard on it, or not so tight yet?
No, that's good. That's good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it over here and put it in this vise.
Okay. So I'll angle the camera. He's moving it over to his vise.
Now we might have to use this one back here. I'm sorry.
I'll angle the camera.
It's the angle of the dangle that counts.
And actually, this is good. Rather than use up all of his clamps, because my dad's coming in town, we're going to be working on a few other pieces. We're going to use this vise as well.
That's good. All right, give me 2 more of them big flaps.
2 more. Just like glue, you can't use enough clamps. He's really putting a hurting on that.
Put it in the middle right there. What'd you do with the other one?
Right here. All right, so now that that's clamped, how long does that have to set for?
24 hours.
24 hours. And then we're good to work on it after that?
Yep.
So again, we've squeezed out all that glue and we've really put a hurting on that thing. That's pretty darn tight. So now it's the hurry up and wait. Now we actually might do a few other things off camera here and get a few other things ready. But for the most part, we are done for today. And then tomorrow we'll get out there on the lathe and start turning this beautiful maple rolling pin. So stay tuned. All right, folks, so one last thing we did here before we conclude this section of the video is Mr. Robert also has a PV handle that he has to make for a guy. So This is hickory, Tennessee's finest. This is hickory, came off a farm up in Tennessee. And we got 3 pieces here, so they're about 3.5 inches wide by 3 inches. And we put the rounded sections on the outside because that's the part we're going to take down. In fact, the PV handle, the widest section is about 2 3/4. Yeah, that's about the widest we got to go. But as you can see, we have put quite a lot of clamps on here. And we'll see once we turn the other, we'll also be showing parts of this one too. So stay tuned. All right, folks, it is now, I think it's been 2 days, maybe 3 days since I was last here at Mr. Roberts. And since then, you see all the blades he has in here. I don't know, there's 40 or so blades here. He has another 20 that were dropped off there, plus some that I dropped off for my buddy. Long story short, he's been very, very busy. I'm trying not to mess up his roosters and chickens that are all resting out here. But anyways, long story short, the man stays busy when it comes to sharpening blades. So we'll head over here. Now my dad is in town. We've been working on my shop a whole lot, but now we're in the process of, he's turning some rolling pins and I'm gonna be working on mine as well. So I'll show you what he's working on right now. He's working on a black walnut and looks like a box elder. That's black walnut and box elder. So my dad's working on this piece right here. This is gonna be turned to a rolling pin. And then Mr. Robert over here, that's the PV handle that we had where we glued the crap out of it. And then if you remember the maple pieces that we worked on, these ones right here. So we'll be turning these next as soon as my dad is finished with his piece. But yeah, can't wait for it. But he's learning. This is my dad's first time on a lathe. All right, so as my dad was working on his rolling pin, which absolutely looks phenomenal, he actually did his out of the centerpiece just like this, his box elder, and then black walnut on the outside. I also took some maple, which is the same maple flooring right there that we're actually making the rolling pin I'm going to give away. I used those to make a couple of these spatula pieces right here. So these are going to go to my daughter's teachers and my son's teachers at school. This is like little gifts for them that we get to do. Now my dad right now, his piece is actually looking really, really good. Again, black walnut and box elder. It's looking really good. And he's getting ready after he finishes sanding the end pieces. He's going to go ahead and put that on the polisher and polish it up just like I polished these spoons. Mr. Robert, he's also been busy. He made these cool spoons out of that same flooring, the maple flooring. Little scoop right there for, you know, coffee or something like that. That's pretty cool. Just beautiful, beautiful spoons. And he's taught me so much, and I'm so appreciative of it. But yeah, just fiddle farting around there. And right now, this is the piece that I have, and by measuring it, I'm 2 3/4 inches this way, which means I've got to cut this down to 2 3/4 inches so that we have a nice, solid piece to work on. And I know this video is running long, so I'm going to go ahead and throw on a bit of a time lapse here so you can show us going all throughout the shop and everything. I'm just inhaling too much dust right now, but yeah, gonna work on this. We'll show you how to make center marks and everything, and then we'll take it on over here to the trusty old 12-inch Craftsman lathe here and go from there. So stay tuned. All right, folks. I did screw up a little bit. I did slightly put my finger into the blade, which is a no-no. Don't do that. I'm not going to edit it out. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to try this again and try not to put my finger into the blade. Sharpie points bad. All right, so while they're talking over there, I'm going to show you marking center here. So let me see if I'm on.
What about?
It's decent.
Hickory turns great.
All right.
Which ones do you not like?
Literally just go from corner to corner.
Oak's not very good. I heard oak tears out.
Oak will tear out a little bit and leave it a little flaky. You cannot turn fir.
Any kind.
Fir won't turn. It'll just
Come to pieces.
yeah. It just
Too soft
yeah. falls
Cedar,
apart.
can you do cedar?
Yeah, cedar turns really good.
It does.
Yeah.
until it blows up.
Well, you want to make sure you got a good piece of cedar.
Yeah.
See all that stuff up there? See all them little flat pieces I got up there? Evie, where you at,
So
baby?
there's center right
Come
there.
here. Show Papa what you got around your neck.
Yeah,
See,
that's
we,
cedar.
see, we just made that while ago.
He made a little cross for her.
In fact, I
I'll
reached
show
up
that
over
here in
your
just a
head there
second.
and got it.
Well, I saw
While
you
my
do
dad
it.
was on the
So we just
lathe,
got over
we
those
got to
scrolls
working.
on there and done that. Oh, he's filming. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. People like to hear you talk, Mr. Robert. Think you sound funny. I like the way you talk. I like the way you talk too. Mm-hmm. Evie, go ahead and show us that what little cross that Mr. Robert made. That's pretty cool, and that's made out of cedar. And he free-handed that thing on the scroll saw, so pretty impressive. So that's also what's the
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo
The
string?
strap is leather.
there you
I
go.
don't know.
Put it on, Evie.
Yeah, there's my dad's black walnut and box elder. Just
That's
absolutely beautiful.
Now she has it on.
There we go. Now she has her little cross on there.
Took us, what, about 10 minutes to make that?
Oh, not even, I don't think. All right, so now you can see we've got center marked on both sides.
There
Pretty
you
simple,
go.
just going
There
corner
you
to
go.
corner. And yep, here we go.
Okay.
All right, so Robert and my dad are over there talking about the price of rolling pins and stuff like that. And his rolling pins, I mean, the beautiful rolling pins that he makes, he sells for $25, which is an absolute steal. So here's what we're gonna do. So we went ahead, I didn't show it on camera here, but we did a little punch mark on both sides and everything. So that's, center part made. Go ahead and put that right into the center on this
You ever
side.
have to polish it?
Door closed.
You ever have to polish it again?
Now, a few
And then, scoot it down some more.
But every time you polish it,
Yeah, well, you might have to sand it just a little bit.
yeah.
I'll be right back.
Deep enough in there?
Yep.
Yep.
The reason you do
Didn't
that,
even
Thomas, the reason you do that, I was telling you, Dad, you got these spurs on
Yeah.
here. Now, spurs is what turns that wood.
Yeah. Should I go deeper than what I have?
No, you deep it up.
Okay.
Bring that in. I need to sand on that.
Yeah. It's all good. Just give it a little tap.
Need to loosen it maybe a little.
It is.
All right, go ahead. What you think?
There we go.
Put that right in there.
Oh boy.
So this is,
Use this, Tom. You won't hurt your hand.
Hitting here? Or?
Yeah,
Where?
hit down here.
Okay.
All right, now tighten that up. All right, now loosen this. All right, now turn this.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it, Evie.
Which way did I turn
Move
it?
down this way, baby.
Did I turn to the right or to the left?
Turn it on.
Oh,
Don't stand in front of it when you turn it on.
didn't turn on. Oh, there you go.
All right, see how smooth that's running? All right, now when you got this loose, you want to turn that a little bit.
What does that do?
That pushes that in.
Okay.
Then you want to,
Get close to that.
now, it's ready.
this is 19 inches long. It's 10 inches right
Yeah,
here.
you
All
can
right.
figure, you can figure 10 inches right here. I go.
So there we go.
I go from here, 4.
Give me 1 second. We'll start right back up. So Robert just explained to me he is not a turner, but he can turn.
I
So
can.
he's explaining to me what he's doing here. You want to make sure that your tool rest is below the center of axis that's actually driving the piece of wood.
That's right. So we're gonna
Evie, hold this for me.
we'll turn your piece,
Make sure she clears.
and make sure it clears. But you want it as close as possible.
Okay.
So we're gonna say that's close enough. So we're gonna tighten that up. I know that people can't see this, but we're
Yeah.
tightening
So
that
he's,
up.
on the back side there, what he's doing is he's tightening it. There we go. So it's tight.
All right, and now we've got our two rest in here.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna take this wrench and we're gonna
Get her as close to level as possible.
That's right.
And we've got a pretty good amount of clearance there.
Tighten that up. And it's ready.
So it just spins on that little, okay. Oh, there's a bearing in, okay, I see it.
This tail stop
Mm-hmm.
and your tailpiece here that's what you call a live center. There's a bearing in here. You can get them, you can get all different, I have all different kinds of these, but that one has a live center. It turns with the wood.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So again, folks, this is only my second time turning. This is the maple piece, and I'm gonna start.
And I'm gonna get out of the way.
Go on, get. So, all right. So first things first, gonna use a gouge. So I'm gonna show a little bit here in the beginning, and then I'm actually gonna switch to a time lapse because, you know, I'm sure there's master turners out there just gonna like gawk or laugh at me and this, that, and the other. So. Yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so turn her on, give her hell. Scare myself a little bit. Now you've seen me do this enough. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put on a time lapse. Actually, let's go and stop this real quick. See what we're working with. It's getting there. Ooh, that sculpt's gonna be real nice. Wow. I've got just a little bit of a flat edge there, but not a whole lot more to go. It's gonna have some beautiful medullary rays through there. So, all right, I'm gonna go and throw in a time lapse so you can watch me. Hopefully, not cause me more damage. It looks like I'm wearing into my Band-Aid a little bit, but all right, so stay tuned. Here we go. Alright folks, so there we go. We sanded it down after doing all the chisels and everything. I started off with an 80 grit, then I went to a 180, then went to a 220, and we finished off with some steel wool. Very happy with this turned out. And look at the medullary rays in there, the spalt. I think it looks great. Very happy with it looks. Finger's still doing okay. Steel wool did get away from me a little bit there, but yeah, she's looking really good. Now we're going to go ahead and polish this up and do the final touches. All right, so as they're talking, I'm going to go and do the final sanding. Just taking probably 120 or 180 grit. All right, so it's ready for polishing. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the polish. All right, now the polisher.
She takes after her mother. They lived in California, they lived in Utah, they lived
This actually turned out to be probably one of my best rolling pins. It's only my second one. So. Woo, that one hurt. That one got on the cut. All right, folks. So, hopefully, you can see that's pretty good. I think the winner of this is gonna be Mr. Snyder's gonna be very happy. So, yeah, overall, second rolling pin I've ever turned, and it feels good. It's got some mass to it. This could be an attitude adjustment device, all sorts of things. So, hope this is an enjoyable video. A lot of things went on. Hopefully I'm able to compile it all together. So I'm going to show you from start to finish what we have here. So, we started off with this reject flooring from Dirt Cheap, and we've made a rolling pin. So, maple flooring from Dirt Cheap Building Supply has turned into this beautiful rolling pin, which is going to Mr. Snyder, who correctly guessed the age of the ash tree from our Big Ash Adventure to Missouri. The age of the tree that he guessed is 137 years old. So that'll give you an idea how old that ash tree is. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. So please like, subscribe to the channel. The channel has been growing a whole lot here recently, and it's pretty awesome. I'm trying to see, I've been getting about 80 to 100 subscribers a month. If I get those numbers up, it'll just be awesome. Like, trying to see if I can bump those numbers up and start testing out some new equipment and stuff like that. But I'll start doing more videos like this and more competitions as well. So stay tuned and listen to the videos and see what comes up, because we also have more random tools with Mr. Robert. As you can see, he's got tools all over the place in here in his awesome shop and everything. I mean, if you remember, I did a tool, random, that nail puller right there, that was one of them. And he's got a couple of others that I really want to see and put on there. So stay tuned, more to come. Hope you're enjoying the channel. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you.